This video will look at Excel functions and how to use them in determining specific values. In this case, we will take a set of 3 samples, test 3 tests, the values from those particular samples and testing, and we'll try and find the highest value. We will use if statements to try and find that highest value. It will take a number of if statements. So the way we start, we compare sample 1, which is cell B2, with sample number 2, which is B3. So the first test is, if B2 is greater than B3, then B2 is the answer, and if not, B3 is the answer. Keep in mind that we try to keep the cells in order. Next, compare sample 1, B2, with sample 3, B4. So test number 2, B2 greater than B4. If that's true, B2 is the answer we'll get, and if not, B4. Well, we have one more test, and that test is to check sample 2, B3, with sample 4, B4. So the test, if B3 is greater than B4, then we will use B3 as the answer, if not B4. All right, next step, determine how the test functions are nested. Easiest way is to develop flowcharts for each test. So let's start with test number 1. If B2 is greater than B3, B2 is the yes and B3 is no. So here is our first flowchart. The next one, if B2 is greater than B4, then B2 is the yes answer and B4 is the no answer. And the last test is 3. If B3 is greater than B4, there's the test, and if it's true, then B3, and if it's false, B4. Now we want to determine how the flowcharts relate to each other, and we'll start with comparing which tests have common result or answers. That is, B2 is a yes answer for 2 separate tests. Test number 1 and test number 2 have a common B2 in the yes result. Test number 1 and test number 3 have no common results, and test number 2 and test number 3 have a common B4 in the no result. So, because test 2 has common results with test number 1 and number 3, we want to start with test number 2. Combine test number 2 and test number 1 with the common B2 in the yes. So we move over and substitute the test number 1 yes answer with the test number 2, which then leads us to B2 in the yes location. Now let's combine test 2 and 3 where B4 is in the no, and we substitute that down, and there's B4 in the no. Now that there is a logical arrangement, the next step is to combine the functions. So the first one is, we'll start with test 1 if function, which is B2 greater than B3. True answers B2, false answers B3, and we will combine test 1 and test 2, replacing B2, and there we've put the test number 2, if B2 greater than B4, B2 is the yes and B4, and then the next one is combine test 1 and test 3 with test 3 replacing B3. Here's the test 1, so we've replaced B2, we've replaced B3. Now we have a combined if function. Place the nested if function in cell B5. If logical process in the flowchart is correct, the value will be the largest value, and in this case it's 29, and yes it is. So the final step is to copy the formula into cells C5 and D5, and if you've done it right, you will come up with the highest value in test 2, which is 27, and the highest value in test 3, which is 27. I want to show you now is the homework assignment. This is where you start. It starts on the function instruction page. And on the instruction page, first thing you want to do is place your name in the yellow box. So in this case, I will put my initials. And when it gives me my 5 points. If I move over to my functions, here is the problem, different than what I showed you, because it's looking for the smallest. But what I want to show you are these notes, yellow notes right here. If I make my first if function, and in this case I will go up, grab my f sub x, if. After choosing the if function, my dialog box comes up. My logical test is going to be if sample number 1, cell B8, is greater than sample number 2, B9, and if that's true, then it would be B8, and if it's false, B9. So I hit OK. Notice we have 10 in this cell, and the message is incorrect if function. Why? Because it's looking for the if function, not the number. So we go up, and in front of the equal sign, we put the hash mark, and now it says correct if function. From here, you complete the 3 additional if functions. You put over into the flow chart for the first if function. You go B8 greater than B9. For the yes, it's B8. And for the no or false, it's B9. And you fill that out for all of your if functions. And then you combine them. Once you combine them, if the answer is correct, that it is the smallest in this case, then you've done the right answer. However, you still need to go up and put a exclamation in front of the equal sign so that this no longer is a negative message to you. Once you do that, you track them all the way across like we did in the previous example. And if that's the case, then your score back over here on this page will be 40 points short. And that is because the instructor has to go in and make sure the flow charts were properly filled out with the if functions. Now that is the way this flowchart assignment will work. I wish you the best with working through this problem. Any questions, help each other, or call the instructor, get in touch with the instructor and see what can be done.